warrant for this address. Keep your hands up and follow orders. This is the FBI. We have a warrant for...
They handcuffed me and my wife out here. They wanted me to sit on the curb while they were carrying this out, something that I refused to do. They wanted my wife to sit on the curb out here, that she refused to do.
As I was coming out, this big old drone met me.
The only revolutionary organization that's done something here on the ground practically for African people is the one that's come under attack. Institution that offers a community radio station, a newspaper, a commercial kitchen, an Aquaba Hall rental space, and community office for our organizers. That was the building that has come under attack.
You need a breach? What do you need?
Need one.
I don't know.
Let's hold that, let money.
Hold
Thank you.
We will build a movement of white people that says hands off the Uhuru movement.
They see in the African People's Socialist Party a vanguard for the struggle for the liberation of our people. They see that because not just what we do here in the United States, but because we had the temerity to do like Garvey, to do like Malcolm X, and take the struggle of black people around the world.
Uhuru, Uhuru comrades, Uhuru to the world. My name is Mwezi Odom, and I'm the chairperson of the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Defense Campaign. And I just want to salute and appreciate everybody who is here on today for this historic meeting to announce a historic event that happened on July 8th, and to give you updates about the Hands Off Uhuru legal defense and the Hands Off Uhuru counteroffensive, which is taking on every issue, everything that colonized and oppressed peoples and freedom-loving people are fighting for. We are going to make that happen in this lifetime. And we say hands off Uhuru, which means freedom. You can't be against hands off freedom unless you're on the side of the colonizers. And we say hands off Africa because we understand that Africa needs to be free, and African people have the right to self-determination, freedom, and right to our liberation and unification. So I want to really appreciate everybody for being here. Again, I said my name is Mwezi Odom, and I want to open up by inviting everybody to share for today's webinar. Some of you are on YouTube, some of you are joining us on Zoom. We're going to be in and out today. We're going to be very quick, so bear with me as I run through things, but you can always come back and check this out on the Burning Spear YouTube channel. So again, if you haven't shared, text somebody, say handsoffuhuru.org or tinyurl.com/handsoffmeeting. And again, we want to thank you all for being here on today. This is a very special opportunity for us to discuss why we are all here on today. But I want to salute why I know I am here on today, because everything that you will hear me say today, everything that you will hear me try to analyze is because of Chairman Omali Yeshitela. So I want to salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela, who is the leader of the African People's Socialist Party, the founder, and is leading the worldwide revolution and is the key target for the US government, as we know, because you just saw with those raids on July 29th. So today, comrades, we have an announcement. As we said, we want to discuss the historic meeting that happened on July 8th, and to remind everybody that when we say that we are building an anti-colonial free speech movement, this is something that everybody can get involved in. So we're going to talk more about what that means, but this was the formation of the Hands Off Uhuru Fightback Coalition, which was a phenomenal opportunity for anybody who is fighting on the right side of the question to come together under the banner of Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Freedom, and to fight back against the US state attacks on free speech. So before we move any further, we want to remind everybody that these are fundraisers. We have to build. This campaign is not here to just, it's important that we give the political analysis, but we have to raise the resources because we have a legal fight of our lives that is coming up. So we have a goal today of $1,000. If you have not donated already, and first we want to thank everybody who has even donated coming up to today's meeting, but we will have a report and an appeal from our fundraising committee. Make it easy on them. Go right now to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. Make your donation, make a pledge. If money is looking funny, say when you can donate. And thank you to everybody who has, and we want to make sure that we will appreciate and acknowledge all of our donors, because we would not be here without you on today. So we'll hear more about that update. But again, you saw what happened on July 29th. And what I'm going to do is just give a really quick overview, because we have some new people on, and I want to welcome those who are just joining the campaign. Welcome to the family, and you are part of the fight back. So we're going to give you a rundown on where we are, what happened on July 29th, and where we are today. So you saw the video following that day on July 29th with these violent pre-dawn raids on properties in St. Louis, Missouri, and St. Petersburg, Florida. The Department of Justice named 4 members of the Uhuru movement as quote unquote unindicted co-conspirators. You saw Director Akile in the video, who is second from the left, but now it is looking a little different in terms of who they have named as their main targets. But it was Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, Director Akile Anayi, fierce, strong African woman who leads the media and communications for the African People's Socialist Party, as well as Chairwoman Penny Hess, who is the chair of the African People's Solidarity Committee, and Jesse Neville, who is the chair of one of the mass movements of white North American colonizers, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. So we're going to hear more about that as well. But again, we understand that this government, this state, has no interest in helping to support and promote and to see African and other colonized people live healthy, happy lives. So we had to take on our own struggle. And this is what initiated this campaign. On July 29th, we immediately had press conferences. We put out in the Burning Spear newspaper what happened on July 29th. We established the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Defense Campaign and established committees around the world to take up the banner of Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Hands Off the Uhuru movement, and speaking tours with media interviews and events just like this. So this has been part of the work that this campaign has been doing for the past 11 months as we approach just a few weeks from now, the July 29th 1-year mark. So when this happened, you all have seen this slide. You probably memorized it by now, but we were saying what you can do. People were asking, what can we do? So we said, sign the petition, hold the fundraiser, sign up for the emergency response pledge, bring a speaker to your community, donate, 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 and start a committee or join the national committee. And many of you who are here today have done that. And if you have done that, go ahead and put in the chat, I've signed the petition. I need to sign the petition. Send me the link for the emergency response. We have a chat moderator who is excellent, and we'll put all that information in the chat for you, as well as the link to donate on today. So Uhuru Paul from Spokane, I just saw you in the chat. Welcome, Comrade, and we're glad that you're joining us today as well. So I do want to just quickly go over the context of these attacks, because we know that in the process of this campaign, we learned that in 2015, Chairman Amalia Shatela was added to a Ukrainian hit list. Again, an assassination attempt on the chairman's life, which, by the way, 2015 was nothing new. The chairman has had many assassination attempts on his life and his family as well throughout the process of fighting for Black freedom. So this was one thing that we learned. And again, we must note, check the year, this was before any declared war between Russia and Ukraine. We want to make that very clear, because these are some of the slanderous attacks that they are using against the Uhuru movement with these attacks on July 29 to make the claim that it was Russians who told the African People's Socialist Party, who told Chairman Amalia Shatela that we are oppressed and that we need the Russians to come in and to help us run in elections and to direct African people's struggle for self-determination and freedom. We know that is completely false and bogus, and so we want to say that all of this is something that we are going to take to trial when we go, because we know it's completely erroneous. So again, comprehensive list of attacks. You've seen this before, but on July 2nd, a burning of the flag of the Uhuru outside of the Uhuru House in St. Petersburg, Florida. We will give more updates about the petition on the Africans Charged Genocide, because we have retrieved some of this information through the hard work of our volunteers. But in September, they wiped clean over 100,000 signatures from the Africans Charged Genocide campaign that we had, leading in the Uhuru movement. They had arrested members of the Uhuru movement unlawfully, threatened us with indictments coming soon, with never knowing when it's going to come in, burning churches, burning a church, and historically have burnt churches. This one outside of the chairman's home, which was in the process of being purchased by the movement. And again, the attacks would still continue today on Black Power 96 radio, which, by the way, was taken off the air on the day of the attacks. And we're going to talk more about that, and you're going to learn more about the Black Power 96 fight back. But the economic sanctions continued on the self-determination of the Uhuru movement. Go to our website, go to handsoffuhuru.org/regions fightback, and go ahead and take a look and see just how filthy this government is trying to work against all of these great programs that the Uhuru movement has been building, and using banks and using other types of financial institutions to target the movement as politically exposed persons, from Regions Bank, whose CEO, by the way, makes something like $8 million a year. And I think I even got that number wrong. From GoFundMe, who withheld donations, to Facebook, who canceled and eliminated our ability to do Facebook fundraisers, and Stripe, who for more than a week during the process of receiving donations withheld donor pledges. So we fought back on this. So like I said, you can go and learn more about this at Regions as well on our website. We fought back, putting out resolutions on sanctuary cities, saying that any city government, any police, any cannot work with federal agents to attack Black community organizers and members who are doing work that stems from the work in the community to better and uplift the community. Because as we know, the St. Petersburg police and the St. Louis police worked with the FBI to launch these vicious attacks. These are just a sample of some of the self-determination programs that the Uhuru movement is building for the African working class. As we say, the African working class deserves the best. This system of colonialism, as we understand, is the colonial mode of production, would not exist except for the assault on Africa. African people have a right to be free, have a right to organize, and have a right to build for our own lives and our future. And these are some of the programs that have come under attack, because that is a threat to a government that is parasitic and that relies on the host in order to survive. So we just want to say that you can go to the Black Power Blueprint and learn and see some of the work. Go to St. Louis and see some of this amazing work of the movement. We want to salute the media. Thank you to every media force who has taken the conscious decision to show what has happened and to interview the chairman and other leaders from the movement. This is really important, that we have advanced forces in the media who are willing to shed a light and to help us break out of this encirclement that is happening. So the Hands Off Uhuru campaign is spreading around the world. We want to appreciate our endorsers, who we will talk about more at an upcoming event, so we can really show you how important it was that we had support from around the world immediately after the raids. And we have built committees from in Europe, in South Africa, all throughout the continent, and also in the Caribbean, and here within these United States. We also went to Cuba. Hands Off Uhuru went with the LA Hands Off Cuba committee with this delegation, and it was very powerful to build international solidarity for the Uhuru Three, because at that time we learned that they had just become indicted. And an international day of action on May 27th, making the demand around the world to drop the charges against the Uhuru Three. Comrades, this is just some of the work that we have done, and we look forward to telling you more about what we did at the United Nations Permanent Forum as well, where we worked on these panels on expert mechanisms to advance racial justice and equality in law enforcement. So I want to salute Comrades Kabula and President Matsamela, who are featured right there in those pictures. On April 23rd, or in April 2023, the government indicted 3 members of our movement. As I said, Chairman Amalia Shatella, Penny Hess, and Jesse Neville. This was 9 months later after the raids, and we want to make it clear that they did go, into the court, the federal court in Tampa, have to turn in their passports. They were in leg irons and held in the cells for hours and were released on a $25,000 signature bond, all due to these bogus charges for being quote unquote Russian agents, acting as Russian agents under US codes 371 and 951, a total of 10 to 15 years in prison, 10 for the charge of as acting as a foreign agent, and then also some of the conspiracy charges that they are trying to launch at the Uhuru movement. We understand that this is an attempt to slander and to isolate this movement, but we say, hell no, we won't go, and we won't, and if we go anywhere, it's going to trial, and we're going to contest all of this right here, because we understand that what the government did is that they indicted free speech. And what the chairman has said is that if freedom of speech cannot be afforded to the colonized, then it should not be afforded to anyone. And in this case, if African people do not have the right to freedom of speech, then nobody should have the right to freedom of speech. This is a really important question that we are going to continue to build and talk more about in this coalition that I'm going to talk about soon. So we say drop the charges against the Uhuru Three, make it a hashtag, put it out there in the world, because this counteroffensive led by the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Defense Campaign is moving into a new chapter and opening up and turning a corner. So what is this corner, everyone? I want to explain that on July 8th, we had a very, very, very powerful meeting, and this was coming out of a resolution with the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations, and the Hands Off Uhuru campaign. Many of you were with us in Washington last year, Washington, D.C., in November, marching on the White House. This is led by the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations. This year will be their 15th annual march. Hands Off Uhuru has united with co-sponsoring this march to bring everybody to the White House to march and to, under the banner of not one step backwards, FBI attacks the Black liberation movement again, and we say drop the charges now. So what does this mean? We want to say that we are very excited because, let me go to the next slide, there we go. Because on November 4th, 2023, for the 15th annual march, the Hands Off Uhuru campaign, our base, and the Black is Back Coalition, their base, and everybody who supports the right for freedom and determination are going to be there on this day. So one thing that I want to talk about now, comrades, which is what everyone is probably waiting for. So I want to appreciate everybody for this opening, is that on July 8th, one thing that we have seen throughout this campaign, which is really powerful, is that for the first time, we have seen an overwhelming support of groups across the political spectrum who unite with the demand to drop the charges against the Uhuru Three, who unite that these attacks on the African People's Socialist Party were attacks on our freedom. And so what we have done with the Hands Off Uhuru campaign is made the call for a coalition. We said anybody who wants to be a part of building an anti-colonial free speech movement, come on July 8th to this meeting and build the Hands Off Uhuru Fightback Coalition. So this is really important because this was really the first time that we have succeeded in compelling and pulling together forces from all across the political spectrum, and in particular, the white movement, to come under the mobilization of an African-led and colonized and oppressed peoples-led program, which is so important because, and we really want to salute this union. So I'm going to take a moment to kind of talk about some of the activities and things that we spoke about during this July 8th meeting. And following my speech, I'm going to bring up the chairman, who's going to talk more about the significance and the particular character of this anti-colonial free speech movement through the Hands Off Uhuru Fightback Coalition. And then we want to take a moment to show everybody the website that we have that is out there for the world to see. So you can see just a few of the forces, well, many of the forces who have joined and others who we are consolidating as well. So if everybody, and actually, Comrade who is behind, whenever you get a chance, we can maybe pull that up right before we get to, after I read the demands. So I just wanted to say that briefly, Uhuru. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take a moment to read from a statement that is, sorry, comrades, just lost my page here. I'm going to read from the Statement of Unity from the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Defense Campaign, or the coalition. And one thing that we want everybody to understand is that this was a meeting, a non-sectarian meeting, in the sense that we had forces from all political spectrums, like I said, but that united on the single fact and the principles of unity. So if you go to handsoffuhuru.org/coalition, you get a chance to read the principles of unity, which are the same principles of unity of the campaign as well, but you'll also get a chance to read our demands. So let's start with the demands first. So the demands that were created on this day, number one, that the Hands Off Uhuru Fightback Coalition demands that all charges be dropped. Perfect, thank you, Carmen. And we also have some slides if it's easier to read as well, but that all charges be dropped for the Uhuru 3, and that all those targeted and politically imprisoned by the US colonial state. Number two, that we defend the democratic right of the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement to advocate and organize for the total liberation and unification and self-determination of Africa and African people worldwide. Number three, we denounce all FBI and US government raids, politically motivated indictments, arrest, surveillance, slander, and attack against the African and Black liberation movement, as well as against all anti-colonial movements and social justice, anti-war, anti-imperialist, and free speech organizations and movements, as exemplified by the attacks on Stop Cop City and the Tampa Five. We demand the right to freedom of speech and freedom of assembly to struggle and build our movements for justice, peace, liberation, and unity of all peoples. We demand the right to speak out and associate with our allies without fear of reprisals from the US government and colonial state. We demand the release of all political prisoners, including Leonard Peltier, Jalil Al-Hameen, and may he rest in peace, Mumia Abu-Jamal, Ed Poindexter, and many others, and to drop the charges against Assata Shakur. We demand that all candidates and political parties contesting in the 2024 presidential election and any other election adopt the demands to drop the charges against the Uhuru 3 and other targeted organizations, whistleblowers, and organizations. And we demand an end to the US government attacks on the Mexican, Navajo, and other indigenous peoples, occupied Palestine people, the Filipino people, African people in Haiti, Alex Saab, and the people of Venezuela, and an end to the blockade on Cuba, and to lift and the demand to lift the travel bans and the designation of Cuba as a state sponsor of terrorism. And number 8, we united that we demand to redirect the billions of dollars in the funding this US war in Ukraine towards reparations to Black people. So Uhuru comrades, these are just some of the demands that came through on this meeting. And I just want to say how powerful it was to see the people unite on these basic demands. So Uhuru, so what we'll do now, and timekeeper, this is the last part of this section, so you can give me a call if we need. I'm going to take a moment to read the Statement of Unity. If anybody is on the website at handsoffuhuru.org/coalition, you can also read from the website. So we invite you to go there as well. And thank you so much, comrade on the back end. You're doing great. So we're going to read this statement here. So the statement of unity was the call that we put out to join the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Fightback Coalition, and to endorse the Black is Back Coalition, the Black is Back Coalition and the Hands Off Uhuru March on the White House on November 4th, 2023. So Uhuru, comrades and friends, Uhuru means freedom. Today, we are facing a watershed moment in human history when our movements for freedom, liberation, and democracy can fight on to victory or be pushed back, silenced, and defeated. This is the moment when we must come together to vigorously fight as one and win. We must demand that the US government drops the charges against the Uhuru Three, African People's Socialist Party Chairman Amalia Shatella, along with African People's Solidarity Chair Penny Hess and Uhuru Solidarity Movement Jesse Neville, two white organizers under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. Leading organizations of the African Liberation Movement and those working for liberation of other colonized peoples are coming under attack. The attacks on us as colonized peoples opens the door for attacks on activists and workers fighting for the common will to express our democratic rights and end the US war machine at home and abroad. We are under attack by a government that wants to push us back to an earlier time. We say we are not going back. We will not be silenced. They are trying to return us to the days when African, indigenous people, and others endured daily terror inflicted on us for just trying to vote or protest or express our aspirations. A time when they murdered our children in church, aimed fire hoses on our protesters, a time when the McCarthy hearings sent some underground to burn their books, a time that saw COINTELPRO, assassinations, and political imprisonment of our leaders. We refuse to go back. They are trying to rob us of our hard-won freedoms gained by the fierce struggle of African workers in the 1950s and 60s. And our comrades, the indigenous, Mexican, Filipino, and Puerto Rican people, along with the heroic people of Vietnam, Cuba, occupied Palestine, and Venezuela, and supporters throughout the world fighting against US colonial war at home and abroad. We say, no, we are not going back. In the year following the violent military-style raid, pre-dawn raids, FBI raids on the 7 properties and homes of the Uhuru movement on July 29, 2022, we have seen the weaponization of the FBI and US government expanded exponentially to other political targets and organizations, spanning the political and ideological spectrum and the repeal of many of our hard fought for rights. In April 2023, Chairman Amalia Shatella, Penny Hess, and Jesse Neville were indicted on bogus charges. They are awaiting for trial to, quote unquote, conspire to act as an agent of a foreign government and foreign officials, to wit, the Russian Federation, in violation of US Code 951 and 371. These outrageous charges are coming from the Biden administration, the Democratic Party, where some may seek refuge, although it is actually that party that created the crime bill that ushered in militarized police, mass imprisonment of African people, and the quote unquote war on drugs, and that criminalized communities and created a drug economy. That is the party that gets elected with the Black vote, but never does anything for colonized and working people in general. We have seen the outrageous attacks and charges levied on the Stop Cop City movement, which is fighting in Atlanta to prevent an untouched forest from being used to build a training ground for the brutal colonial police that target African people. We see the attacks on Cuba, the Venceremos Brigade, the Cuban Solidarity organizers, the attacks on Venezuela, on a Venezuelan diplomat, Alex Saab, and the Tampa Five. The repeal of women's right to choose, the increased powers to the secret FISA courts, the exposure of mass civilian surveillance, and the criminalization of Black history taught in schools. We see the spying, the interventions, the attacks on those who stood up to fight the police murders of Mike Brown and George Floyd and others. We see the continued imprisonment of Leonard Peltier, Mumia Abu-Jamal, Ed Poindexter, and others, and the deepened terror against the Palestinian people and the US-backed Israeli state. We see an ongoing attack on Julian Assange and other whistleblowers, such as Matt Taibbi and Tara Reid. And we saw the firing of Tucker Carlson just after he featured Chairman Amalia Shatella on his program. Comrades, we must join together to push back against these attacks. We must fiercely safeguard our freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and our precious right to organize for our liberation. Historically, the African liberation movement has led the movement opening up democratic rights for all. And in the 1950s and 60s, it was the courageous struggle of Black people that pushed back the McCarthy era and that forced this government to grant civil rights and voting rights to African people. It was the leadership of the Black liberation movement that ushered in women's and LGBTQ+ liberation movements. In the 1960s, as now, the US government's assault on the Black liberation movement opened the door for state attacks on others fighting for social justice, including freedom of speech. The FBI clearly stated in their COINTELPRO documents that the Black liberation movement was, quote, the greatest internal threat to the US security since the Civil War. From Marcus Garvey in the 1920s, the attacks on Paul Robeson, W.E.B. Du Bois, James Baldwin, and others, the US government has always targeted the struggle of African people. The government hit the Black liberation movement of the 60s with assassinations, mass imprisonment of Black leaders and organizers, slander, and infiltration. They installed neo-colonial politicians ensconced in the Democratic Party, built highways over our thriving neighborhoods, depriving us of our own economy, and installed massive police presence in our communities, trained to lock us up in prison for life. Chairman Amalia Shatella and the African People's Socialist Party represents the continuum of the 1960s to today. The chairman has fought relentlessly for the liberation and unification of Africa and African people everywhere. He has raised his voice for the African working class here and around the world in unity and in solidarity with all struggling peoples and movements against colonialism. He is clear that the victory of African people is a victory for all colonized, freedom-loving peoples around the world and workers of the world. The party is the longest existing Black revolutionary organization in the US, founded in 1972 with the aim to complete the Black Revolution, which is why it is under attack. The party has always built institutions such as the Black Power Blueprint, Uhuru Foods and Pies, Burning Spear newspaper, and many more. From its inception, the party has always fought mass imprisonment, police violence, and for reparations, building organizations, programs, addressing every aspect of life for African workers. The party developed a revolutionary theory rooted in practice, forwarding the understanding of the colonial mode of production. The party represents all the movies or all the movements that are out there. And this is why the demand to drop the charges on the Uhuru 3 must be raised to the central question for all those who are fighting for liberation, freedom of speech, and social justice. Free Chairman Amalia Shatella, and we free the world. We see a crisis of imperialism brought about by the resistance of the colonized and the end of the unipolar world and US hegemony built on slavery, genocide, colonial war, and plunder. A weakened imperialism is a dangerous beast, but we can win if we unite. We say force this government to drop the charges on the Uhuru 3, and we have the basis to push back all attacks. Comrades, this is the time to join the Hands Off Uhuru Fightback Coalition. We cannot win as separate forces. Our strength is as one. Refuse to go back, and we must build a new unity, advancing the interests of the colonized, the oppressed, and all freedom-loving people. We must march as one on the White House on November 4th, 2023, as a part of the Black is Back Coalition and Hands Off Uhuru rally and march. We say, adelante siempre, venceremos, forward ever, backwards never, all power to the people, Black power to the African nation, hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa. Uhuru. So, Uhuru comrades, so in the interest of time, I want to make a quick adjustment to our program, and I want to bring up the chairman. And what we'll also be adding to the website is the chairman's overview and statement that he gave on that day. which many of you who were there on July 8th will find that it was very powerful. And because, and Chairman, you can let me know if you feel like we should take time, but I do want to bring you up to hear from you, because I know that this is a very historic moment and that there is a lot more that you can provide, Chairman, to help deepen the importance of this Fightback Coalition. So Uhuru Chairman and Uhuru comrades and everybody for being with us. And if you haven't gone to handsoffuhuru.org/coalition, go now and check out some of the information that I just read. So Uhuru Chairman, welcome on. I see you now.
Yes, Uhuru, thank you so very much, comrade.
Value, they know what they bring to the company.
Uhuru.
Are we okay?
Yeah, you're okay, Chairman. Something just started.
Yeah. So I want to express my appreciation to you, Comrade Mwezi, not only for the meeting that we're having today, but the leadership you provided for the Hands Off Uhuru Committee up to now. It's been an extraordinary movement, and we have been clear to characterize what we are doing here, not as simply some kind of defense committee, but a counter-offensive. We recognize the significance of this assault. It is not just an assault on me or the African People's Socialist Party, but it's an assault on the people. It's an attack especially on Africans, but others as well. And certainly the people who would attend this conference that we're having today, this meeting that we're having today, could all be characterized as unindicted co-conspirators. Because the fact of the matter is that who they are attacking is the people again. And the reason that I, and the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement have come under attack is because we represent advanced forces. In every society, you will find advanced forces, people who are out there trying to solve the problems of the society, to move forward to a new day without oppression and exploitation. And the fact is that we are forces who stand between an oppressive colonial state and the people. And we've reached a point in time in history where the social fabric of this country and the fabric of the existing mode of production, a social system itself, is being ripped apart by inherent contradictions based in colonialism, based in exploitation and what have you. And also there's a great contention that is happening within this overall system that takes us back to a period that with some similarities to the 1960s, where there were different contending forces in the world trying to put forward and move forward in history in a way, and there was a serious debate that was happening in the world scale about what was the best kind of system to have. And the United States was engaged in the struggle with Soviet Russia and struggle with China, in particular, to these outstanding forces outside of this country. And within the United States, of course, they were struggling seriously too, with indigenous peoples, including the Mexican people, with the African people who they had declared to be the greatest threat to the internal security of this country. And at that time of crisis, we saw the United States get involved in assassinations throughout this country, attempted assassinations in other places, overthrow of governments around the world and what have you. It couldn't continue in the same old way as it did before. And today, after the United States has successfully participated in a process of undermining the Soviet Union and participating in what it characterized as a unipolar world, and even leading thought representatives, thinking representatives of the ruling class in this country had declared there was the end of history, that nothing would ever change anymore, that what existed with the collapse of the Soviet Union and the defeat of our movements here, that was it. It was the fat lady had sung. There was not going to be any development in human society. That was what they had assumed. But obviously they were wrong, because there was a saying that was particularly significant in the 1960s, is that repression breeds resistance. and the resistance continue to occur. And the success of our oppressors that relied on assassinations to replace leadership and destroy ideas and thoughts that represented the progress of the people, the success has worn off because the neo-colonial puppets that they have put forward, the Negro colonialists, as we sometimes refer to them, who function in our community, sometimes in local governments and in the Democratic Party in particular. And some of these were just organizations that were funded, supported, promoted by the United States government, but they have provided nothing but growing misery for the people. They're not solving any problem. They're not answering the problems of police murder. They have no answer to that. They have no answer to the question of reparations so that African people who have produced value for this whole system and for the colonial white world for hundreds of years, but impoverished everywhere around the world. They don't have a solution for that. They don't even approach the solution. They can't talk about peace because the continuation of this social system requires ongoing domination of people who've been locked into this colonial mode of production in Africa, in the Caribbean, in South America, in the barrios and so-called ghettos inside this country. That's the reality. And so, and now the United States is having to contend with Russia and contend with China, and even with forces like Iran growing in influence in places that they have characterized as their own spheres of influence. That stuff is over. And so there's a desperate US imperialism now. And it is functioning, it is on the back foot, in a very defensive posture, and then it is striking out at those of us who stand in the front, those of us who are trying to offer solutions for the people. The African People's Socialist Party has been here for more than 50 years with the stated objective to complete that Black Revolution of the 1960s that they had stalled with the assassination of Malcolm X, that they had stalled with the murder of Dr. Martin Luther King, that they had stalled with the assassination of Fred Hampton, that they had stalled with the attack on the Panther 21 in New York, and all of these offenses, these horrible aggressions that they made against the people who just wanted to be happy, fighting for our happiness in the return of stolen resources. This is what we've had to encounter. And a problem that we've had in the past that we have overcome finally with the founding of this Fightback Coalition, that, as Comrade Mweze has just stated, crosses all of the ideological and political, the entire ideological and political spectrum in this country, where people, oppressed and colonized peoples, are setting the terms, more or less, for what this resistance should look like. The people, the Mexican people who've been put in cages in this country, who have special police that have been established for them on the borders. The indigenous people who live in concentration camps that they refer to as Indian reservations. The African people throughout the continent of Africa and in the United States and other places as well. We have been raising this and pushing this forward, and we've built a magnificent coalition. And one of the things that makes this so important is that we have solved this problem, or we have overcome this problem with this coalition that had hampered us in such a serious way in the 1960s, where what was characterized as the white left and what was characterized as the white peace movement, or the white anti-war movement now has come into this movement under the embrace and umbrella of people who are colonized, fighting against colonialism. And in the first instance, the African People's Socialist Party and African people and all the other people who are engaged in this struggle. This is something that has overcome the kind of sectarian debates that we've seen with the white left, with Stalin, Trotsky, Mao, all these other kinds of things that would dominate the discussion when we are saying that the colonial oppression terror that gave birth to this social system would be no America if they hadn't committed the offenses that they committed against the indigenous people, who you don't even see normally inside the United States. They're in concentration camps called Indian reservations, wouldn't be a United States without what they have done to African people who they brought on the indigenous people's land to build this economy as a part of a colonial mode of production that Karl Marx referred to as the slavery pure and simple. That was a prerequisite for the existence of what they characterize as wage slavery in Europe. This is what we now have our hands on. And so if all of us can unite that African people should be free, that African people should have the right to free speech. And that means not just the right to free speech where the United States government is concerned, but the right to free speech, freedom of ideas, to be able to express our views and pursue our views, regardless of what kind of white left or anti-war, anti-imperialist position that might be out there. The African people, the Mexican people, the Arab people, we do have our own views and we have agency, and that has to be respected. And that's what we brought together with this coalition. Magnificent. Never happened before. This is the first time. This is cutting edge. This is the part of a world that is changing, and we are participating in this meeting with making that change happen. For 14 years, the Black is Black Coalition for Social Justice, an organization of organizations, 18 different organizations are part of this coalition. For 14 years, we've had March on the White House, and we've invited the peace movement. We invited the anti-war movement to participate, and we've got barely any notice at all. But now, through this coalition, through people who are uniting with this fight back, this anti-colonial movement for free speech. Now we have all these different groups and forces, including you, who've united to participate in this process. On November 4th, we are marching on the White House, but we're not going by ourselves as the Black is Black Coalition. We're all of the forces, not only Africans, but Mexicans, Filipinos, you name it, are going to be there, and virtually every so-called white left anti-imperialist organization in this country are going to be there. So this is where we are. And I just wanted to say that. I wanted to also say, again, because I'm talking to unindicted co-conspirators. I'm talking to people who stand between the masses of people and a very vicious, oppressive social system and government. And that makes that all of us unindicted co-conspirators. They had quieted us for a long time. They had assassinated the Black liberation movement into silence almost. But we've been here for 50 years, and this is one of the reasons they're attacking us. And now we are doing this in combination with all of you. That puts us all as that advanced sector of the population that stands between an oppressive government and the people. So that makes us all unindicted co-conspirators. Everybody's got a stake in this struggle. Everybody's got a stake in this struggle. And even as we talk about all of us now facing the potential oppression that comes with this, it's very important. We cannot lose this struggle. We're fighting it in the courts. We're going to fight it in the court, but you know and I know that this is not a legal issue. It's not an issue of law, it's an issue of power. And the colonizer has the power, and they know that you know that what they're talking about is a lie. Right. They know that all you guys do is see anything about our history. You know, we've been fighting these questions and these same things for 50 years. They don't care. But what they do care about is the power of the people. And this coalition is bringing the people together. We've become a powerful weapon, a political mobilization that can push them back, force them to drop the charges against us, and you're forcing them to making it more difficult for them to be able to impose this on anybody else. So that's what we're talking about. And I wanted to say that this something was said earlier today that I wanted to, in the presentation by Comrade Mwezi. And you see, freedom has always been illegal for Black people. I think it's really important to know that since our coming to this country, we are the only people who did not come to the United States looking for a better way of life. The ones who came looking for a better way of life, found it at our expense, became as captives. And so we're not acting like the attack on the right for Black people to have free speech is something unusual. It just started. It's always been there. They kill us, and sometimes not just the governments, even white people have participated in murdering black people just for saying stuff or for looking a certain way, for looking like we're thinking about something that they didn't want us to think about. That's been the nature of this relationship, and I think we have to understand that. So free speech, freedom has always been illegal. Freedom has always been illegal for the colonized. You can't have colonialism except that those who have power have made it impossible for those who are colonized to articulate their interests, their aspirations, to organize, to change their circumstances. So, we are illegal by definition, regardless of what the law says, because the law says I'm supposed to have the right to free speech. And I'm going to shove this down their throats, and you have to shove this down their throats too. I'm not trying to make, what's his name? What's the guy's name who is the president of the United States? I'm not trying to make Biden or anybody into a revolutionary. I'm not trying to get Kamala Harris to unite with the right of African people to be free, for Africa to be united and free, and African people around. I'm not trying to get them to unite with the right of people in Puerto Rico and people throughout the barrios and Filipinos and what have you to make a revolution. I'm not asking them to do that at all. What I am saying is that you say you believe in free speech. It's in your constitution. It is what you say the basic premise of this country is about. And so therefore you're going to have to live up to it, or you're going to have to face the consequence of masses of people who have concluded that there is no way to get any freedom legally within the United States government. You got to make that statement. You got to say you can't be free, regardless of what the Constitution says. You got to say we don't care anything about the Constitution, the declarations of independence and things like that. You can't be free. And that helps to inform all the people in a very profound way. And that helps us to recognize that we can make this struggle. So we don't surrender the democratic space that we fought and died for in this country. We fought for it. So they would, given their options, they would push us underground. They would force us into some kind of actions that the circumstances and conditions, levels of organization, consciousness will not support at this point. That's what they would do. But we fought for this. Black people fought for this. They're talking about the Russians told us to vote to run in an election. Nobody in America fought for the right to vote harder than Black people did while we were being killed by Americans and killed by the United States people who have power in this government. So we're not going to concede that. You're not going to chase us out of this process underground or something like that prematurely. And we are saying that you, brothers and sisters and comrades, have to unite with us. Make them defend what they say they believe in. We'll defend what we say we believe in. Thank you so much, Uhuru.
Wow. Uhuru, Chairman. Yeah. Hope y'all were taking notes, because this is, when we say that this is part of what we have to internalize and part of the talking points that we have to adopt as the people, as the chairman said, unindicted co-conspirators, we have to be able to take this and weaponize. If we really going to weaponize free speech, we're going to use it the way that we understand, weaponizing free speech is, as they say. So I just really want to salute that presentation, Chairman. And really in this case, all it is telling the truth. And we have to, be able to call that out too, that this government does not, and they cannot stand the truth. And we understand that. So thank you, Chairman. And comrades, again, this is a reminder to go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate, make your donation, make your pledge. I want to say that I'm very excited because we are going to bring up next our fundraising committee, who is a huge part of this fight back. And I just want to say that I really want to salute these comrades as they come up on camera. We have comrades Jesse, who is one of the Uhuru 3, Jesse Neville, as well as comrade Amanda, who is with the Uhuru Solidarity Movement and the Hands Off Committee, and as well as a special guest today, Paul Kessler, who you're going to meet, who is a longtime supporter of the movement, as well as one of our donors in a very creative way. So we're going to bring up those comrades in just a moment. But while we wait for that, go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. We have a goal of raising $1,000 on today. I know we can do it. We have done it before. And as those comrades get ready, we want everybody to know that you can support this movement in many ways. And comrades, you look ready now, so I'll probably wrap it up.
Ready.
Okay, great.
Hands off Uhuru.
Hands off Africa!
Hands off Uhuru.
Hands off Africa!
Uhuru, Uhuru, Uhuru. Thank you so much, Chair Mwezi, and Uhuru Paul. Uhuru, to my unindicted co-conspirator, Comrade Paul Kessler, joining us. Uhuru Paul, and also here with Comrade Amanda, also an unindicted co-conspirator. And salute to all of the unindicted co-conspirators who are tuning in. And I just want to start off by giving a profound revolutionary salute and applause to Chairman Omali Yeshitela for that statement. That was powerful. That was just incredibly powerful and inspiring. And I also want to salute Chair Mwezi Odom and just say what an incredible honor it is to be here today, to be speaking to you all on behalf of the Hands Off Uhuru Fundraising Committee, and to be joined by the treasurer of our committee, Amanda, as well as one of our top fundraisers for the Hands Off Uhuru campaign, Comrade Paul Kessler. And I think we have a slide. We're going to pull up our slideshow here in just a moment. Okie doke. So I want to start off by saying that, as Chair Mwezi mentioned, I am also a member of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, organizing in the white community for reparations to African people under the leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the African People's Socialist Party. And along with Chairwoman Penny Hess and Chairman Omali Yeshitela, who of course is the primary target of these vicious attacks, I am one of the Uhuru Three. And I consider it a great honor to be in the company of such a powerful revolutionary leader such as Chairman Omali Yeshitela. And I salute this meeting tonight and the Hands Off Uhuru campaign's incredible work to launch an anti-colonial free speech coalition and movement to defend the right of African, indigenous, Palestinian, Mexican, and colonized peoples of the world to organize and win their liberation. And in just under a year since the FBI raided the Uhuru movement last July, this campaign under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, has transformed this brutal attack by the US government into a profound advancement for the worldwide struggle of oppressed peoples against the colonial mode of production. And figuratively speaking, those flashbang grenades that they threw into Chairman Omali Yeshitela's home, really all they did was light the fuse of a worldwide counteroffensive that has swept the globe and has completely pushed them back and changed the tide of history. And every flashbang grenade they threw, it just bounced back right into their faces. It literally blew up in their faces and exposed that this US government, this FBI, with all their assault weapons, with all their armored vehicles, with all their grenades and laser sights on their rifles and everything, that it is nothing but a desperate and scared paper tiger. And that the strength and power is in the people, power to the people, Black power to the African nation. So we want to salute everybody who has contributed, all of the thousands of people who have contributed to the Hands Off Uhuru fundraising campaign up to this point, because each and every one of you unindicted co-conspirators has stood up, has fought back, and has said, hands off Chairman Omali Yeshitela, or the sky's the limit. They came at this movement expecting this attack to drain the resources from this movement, to force everything to go towards legal expenses and force all the programs to be shut down. But that has not happened. And that is because of you. And that is because of this campaign. We were able to hire a strong legal team that is confident about going into the courtroom and kicking the ass of the ruling class. And that was made possible because of you. You donated, you stood up, you raised resources, you fought back, you resisted, you went to handsoffuhuru.org/donate and defied the verdict of US imperialism. And that's what we want to continue doing tonight. So this is the part of the program where all of us can participate. We've been deeply moved by what we've heard tonight, and we can now be moved to action. And this is where we can do that concretely, fund the legal fight back, put the state on trial. And when we go to trial, if we go to trial, that is not the end. It is just the beginning of a whole new era of struggle that the party is leading us into. So I'll turn it over to Comrade Amanda.
Uhuru. And you can take us to that next slide. So I fully unite with everything that Jesse just said, and I'm also excited and honored to be here. And I want to salute the leadership of Chair Mwezi Odom, who is just a brilliant leader in building this coalition. So as was stated, the fundraising drive has been a tremendous success. And in just under a year, many of you on this call, and like Jesse said, thousands of other people have contributed anywhere from $1 to $70,000 towards this fight back. And together we have raised $231,000 and some change. And before I move forward, forgive me while I pull up my list here, I just want to appreciate the people who have contributed so far during this webinar. And they went to .org, excuse me, /donate. One person, Lisa Davis, joined the coalition at the individual level for $10. Uhuru, Lisa.
Uhuru.
We have John, who gave $24, a repeat donor, Penny Hess.
John McCarthy.
Uhuru, John. Penny Hess, who gave $50. Brendan, who gave $30. MQ, who gave $30. Jim B, who gave $10. Susan M, who gave $40. Lisa, who gave $20, that's Lisa W. Carrie, who gave $20, and then Chairman and Deputy Chair Yeshitela, who gave $250.
Wow, Uhuru, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Deputy Chair Onizane Yeshitela. Uhuru, salute.
Uhuru. So thank you to everyone who contributed, and yes, this fund drive is not over, and we are committed to close out this first part of the goal, the $277,000, by the end of the year, if not sooner. There's about $46,000 left to raise to close out this campaign, and the resources are still urgently needed. We have been able to pay for a tremendous legal team, and there are going to be more costs associated with the trial, again, if we go to trial, including expert witnesses, court transcripts, and then, regardless of what happens, potential lawsuits. So a lot of very exciting things that these resources will be used for. And we also are going to be raising funds for upcoming speaking tours, which the Hands Off Uhuru campaign will hold to build support for this campaign all over the country. And it's all building up to a massive march on the White House that the chairman mentioned earlier in November 4th. And we want you all to be there. We want busloads of people coming from around the country and around the world to participate in demanding that the Department of So-Called Justice and Joe Biden drop the charges against the Uhuru 3. And all this takes resources. So again, go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate and contribute anything that you can.
Thank you, Amanda. So our goal for today, as is seen on the next slide, is $1,000. And it seems like we are already we're getting there. What are we at so far? Okay, so I want to salute Sandy, who put in $20, Uhuru Sandy. Chair Mwezi Odom, who put in $100, Uhuru Chair Mwezi. $50 from Allison, Uhuru Allison. And we have from Layla, $20, Uhuru. And Wendy, $25. All right, so
we'll get a total in a little bit. Goes up.
So we're going to give you the total, but we know we're getting closer and closer to our goal tonight of raising $1,000. And now it is my honor and pleasure to bring on a long time a force in the solidarity movement, who has worked in solidarity with the African People's Socialist Party, and who in this period has used his talents as a musician to raise over $1,000 for the Hands Off Uhuru Legal Defense Fund and political campaign. So joining us now from Spokane is Comrade Paul Kessler. Uhuru Paul.
Uhuru comrades, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. Well, let me just start by saying it's an incredible honor to be a part of this program. I'm part of this program only because of the incredible leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Deputy Chair Onizane Yeshitela, and the African People's Socialist Party. And I'm hoping that my short backstory can really resonate with some of the people listening to this program to encourage them to do what I'm doing. I also want to recognize Chairwoman Penny Hess and her unwavering and commitment to building white solidarity and reparations and principled unity with the Uhuru movement. Under the chairman's leadership and teaching, Penny and you, Chair Jesse, have set an amazing example of the stance that we as white people must take if we are ready and willing to rejoin humanity. You know, that's really where it's at. So why am I here? I was troubled by the disparities that were dividing me from African and other oppressed people from a very early age. But I became an activist before I was a teenager, but I had no idea what I could do to change the injustices in the world. I was involved in camps and workshops that were designed to expose the class and racial divides. I jumped from issue to issue under the mistaken belief that if we rallied and spoke and worked hard enough, we could convince the ruling class to change their mode of practice and be fair and just. And I was really embroiled in a futile game of political whack-a-mole. Every issue that came up, I jumped on. And then when I was in my late 20s, I was really struggling with despair. I didn't really think that anything was going to happen that was positive, but I knew I had to do something. And that's when I met Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and the Uhuru movement. Chairman's theory of African internationalism has set the history of the world right side up and clarified for all of us how we could play a significant role, especially me as a white person, what I could do concretely to play a significant role in making the world a place that I wanted to live. So I've never looked back, and I'm proud and fulfilled to be working in the solidarity movement for over 30 years. So what I've done is I've given over my skills through that 30 years. The chairman mentioned that I helped to build the Uhuru Bakery Cafe because I was a carpenter. Everything I could possibly do with my hands and my heart and my head to support the movement became a way for me to help fundraise. So now what I'm doing is I'm playing music at farmers markets in Spokane and to bring the funds in, because I cannot tolerate living on the pedestal of colonialism that I understand is underneath me, and the colonial mode of production that destroys the lives of Africans and other colonized people to support my life. I do not want to be a part of living another day on the backs of humanity. So today I'm donating $190 to the Defense Fund to support the right of African people to speak, organize, and advocate for total liberation and self-determination. That's what I raised at my last gig at the farmers market just the other day. And another one coming up on Wednesday. I have 4 more to use to bring awareness through my signage, through handing out literature. And I really want to encourage people to join us. Go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate to meet our goals today and go beyond them. And please consider how your skills, whatever you do, whatever your passion is, use your skills to reach people and raise funds, because that's what we can do. We were given these skills because of colonialism, and we've got to use those skills to fight colonialism. So again, I want to salute the leadership of this movement, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Deputy Chair Onozene Yeshitela, Jesse, Amanda, the Central Committee of the African People's Socialist Party, and all the people who lead the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. You are my inspiration. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I'm not going to stop. Uhuru, drop the charges against Uhuru 3.
Wow. Uhuru. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Thank you, Paul. And before you go, Paul, what kind of music are you playing at that farmers market? Because I know it's been consistently successful in bringing in resources.
Uhuru, yeah. I play a variety of music. I play to the kids who walk by. I play folk music. I play jazz, and I play popular rock and roll. Often what I'll do is I'll put on backtracks and I'll play trumpet and recorder to popular music and jazz. So it's a big range. Everybody's bopping and hopping when they're walking by. And I do get people responding to the signage that says why I'm doing this and what the music is for. And people come and donate because of that. I'm absolutely certain of it.
Right on. Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much, comrades.
Wow, that's really inspiring, Paul. We really appreciate you for your consistent fundraising and for today for your $190 contribution. That's very inspiring. And we also want to appreciate Michael Reeves, who did $20. A Jack Herbert, who gave $50, which means that we have now raised together $959.
All right, we're almost there.
So only 41 left to go. So again, feel free to join the coalition for $10 at the individual level. If you represent an organization, join at $25. And then we can go to the next slide. You can also become a sustainer. So sustainers are very significant in supporting this work on an ongoing basis. You can click on this button here. It says become a sustainer. Same link, handsoffuhuru.org/donate. And every single month you can contribute to this campaign, whether it's for $5 a month or $100 a month or more than that. So that is also an option as well.
Uhuru. We go to the next slide. So we also want to take a quick moment to salute all of our donors, which is thousands of people who have donated, but we in particular want to shout out those who have donated $1,000 or more. And I also want to quickly shout out other comrades who are doing fundraisers, including Anne in Ecuador, who does a weekly online yoga session to raise funds, and Kafira in Miami, who held a community acupuncture fundraiser, and others who are planning fundraisers for the future. So we want to salute Chairman Omali Shatella and Deputy Chair Onazane Shatella, Mark, Janice, Fergie, Ruby, Redbeard, Marcus, Leah, Allison, Charles and Inez Barron, Jabez, Kitty, Maureen, Nicholas, Angelica, Paul, Renaud, Pete, Penny, the Partisan Defense Committee, Union del Barrio, David, Charles, Janet and Pete, Stephen, William, Dr. Robin D.G. Kelly, Emmanuel, MQ, Lisa, Johan, Ali, and many more who donated anonymously $1,000 or more to the handsoffuhuru.org/donate. Next slide. And as Chair Mwezi, just want to salute her for putting together this graphic. And as Chair Mwezi has said, each of us might not be able to be at every event or be at every demonstration, but you can make your dollars march for you by going to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. And we're only $41 away from our goal. So go ahead to handsoffuhuru.org/donate and get us over that $1,000 mark for tonight.
And you can go to the next slide. So if you give $250 or more, and this is cumulative, so you can give over a number of months, over a number of donations, we will send you this button, Hands Off Chairman Omali Shatella. And then if you give $1,000 or more, you will get a Hands Off Uhuru t-shirt. Make sure you respond to us with your address and your t-shirt size, but definitely you can do that. And again, only $41 left to go. So feel free to go on and put $41 into handsoffuhuru.org/donate.
Well, I've got $21 I want to put towards that. So
great.
$20 to go. $20 to go. Go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. Okay, we got how much?
20.
We got $20 in the room. Uhuru, Uhuru.
Erica.
Uhuru, Erica.
St. Louis, Uhuru.
So we don't need to stop at 1,000. We can keep it going. Keep going to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. And if we go to the next slide. So this is all about building the campaign to demand drop the charges against the Uhuru 3, reparations now, and next slide. And before we close out this section of the program, we want to let you know that the Hands Off Uhuru Fundraising Committee is holding a very exciting fundraising event this Friday night at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, 4:30 Pacific time. It is a film screening of a powerful documentary called American Justice on Trial, where Huey Newton was put on trial in 1969. And the strategy that took place in the courtroom reflected the struggle of the people that was taking place in the world. And it's a very inspiring documentary. We'll also be showing selections from another film called Charles Gary, Street Fighter in the Courtroom. And we will have a dynamic panel discussion, which will include Chairman Omali Shatella and Zaki Baruti, the President General of the Universal African Peoples Organization. So that will be this Friday, July 21st at 6:30 p.m. Central. It's $10 to purchase a ticket. You can go to tinyurl.com/Uhuru film. Somebody will put that in the chat. And when you pay your $10 on the Open Collective website for the ticket, we will then within 24 hours send you a Zoom link so that you can participate virtually in that film screening. If you're in St. Louis, you can attend in person as well here at the Uhuru House at 4101 West Florissant Ave.
Uhuru.
So with that, we want to turn it back over to Chair Mwezi and salute the incredible meeting that's happening tonight, and salute Chairman Amalia Shatella and say, drop the charges against the Uhuru 3, hands off Uhuru.
Hands off Africa.
Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Uhuru. Right on. Wow. What a powerful appeal, comrades. Just want to salute all of our donors, everybody who contributed their dollars, their skills to that. And thank you, Comrade Paul, for coming on and just showing us how creative we can be, and for your donation and your longtime support in the movement. So Uhuru, everybody. We're going to transition. We're over an hour and we have to be self-disciplined, but we have to give you this next report, which is the Uhuru Legal Defense Committee. So as we pull up our next comrade who is leading this committee, I just want to read a comment that is in the chat, and I want to salute where people are tuning in from. So as our comrade comes onto the camera, I want to read a comment from Mark with the LA Hands Off Cuba Committee, who says here, members of the LA Hands Off Cuba Committee here and are here with the APSP and their important defense efforts. And has been pointed out, the FBI has targeted those who defend Cuba's sovereignty from the US and Puerto Rico. We support you politically and financially. Thank you, Mwezi, for your participation in the Cuba delegation and for your leadership in our committee. So I want to salute you, Comrade Mark, and I want to thank those who were tuning in from Houston, San Diego, St. Petersburg, Florida, St. Louis, Missouri, Iowa City, Chicago, New York, Columbus, Georgia, Chesapeake, Virginia, Central New York, Huntsville, Alabama, Asheville, North Carolina, Battle Creek, Michigan, Maryland, Spokane, Washington, New Jersey, and Cincinnati, Ohio. So thank you, comrades, for tuning in, and Los Angeles, where Comrade Mark is, and Uhuru, Chair Chimarenga, who is chairing the Legal Defense Support Committee. I see you on with us, and I just want to appreciate you and to just give an overview about what this committee is. You know, we don't always talk about or see you out there, but there's no doubt that this committee is leading a very important aspect of this counteroffensive, and we want to give you an opportunity to talk about that. And we can pull up some slides when you are ready to make the pitch. So, Uhuru.
Uhuru. Well, first, I want to appreciate you, Chair Mwezi, and really salute you and salute the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party for that great overview, and the whole committee. The whole Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa committee that's doing such great work. Thank you for that introduction. I don't want anyone to feel like the work of the Hands Off Uhuru Legal Defense Support Committee is not being carried out with the same kind of intensity as the important work that's going on the ground, the days of action. You might not see the Hands Off Legal Defense Support Committee in action every day, but it is intense. We're carrying out work every week. And I would like to let you know that we will be looking at a trial that's currently scheduled for February of 2024. And we want to make sure that everybody understands that we have a great team of lawyers. We have Addie Griffin and Mutaki Akbar and Leonard Goodman, all great lawyers that make a great team who are fighting to free our comrades from these absurd charges, because we know that there's no way that not only Russians, but any other force could be leading the Uhuru movement, leading the chairman to say anything. The chairman is the leader of the African nation, and that's how we see it. So we want to make sure that everybody understands what the Legal Defense Support Committee does, because it carries out a real important work inside the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa campaign. And you hear the Legal Defense Support Committee, you probably think, well, these must be a bunch of lawyers, and nothing could be further from the truth. I want to say some things about what we do. First of all, we work with the lawyers who are part of what we call the privileged group. They are the defense lawyers that I just named: Eddie Griffin, Leonard Goodman, and Mutaki Akbar. That's the team of lawyers in the privileged group. Those lawyers have the direct connection to our comrades as the defense team. And we do a lot of research. We do research on case law. We do research on other kinds of issues that might affect this case. We also do a very aggressive campaign to get Freedom of Information Act material from the FBI. We filed for all the people, all our comrades who are charged. We have filed Freedom of Information Act requests from the FBI. We're currently involved in one appeal that was denied from concerning our comrade Jesse Neville. But we're going to keep fighting this thing, because we know that they're just stalling to keep from giving us information that could expose their insidious attacks on our party and our chairman and our comrades in Uhuru Solidarity and the African People's Solidarity Committee. So we're going to keep pushing those Freedom of Information Act requests until we squeeze it out of them. So we also want to make sure that we salute our volunteers. Want to give a special salute to the National Lawyers Guild attorneys who have supported the Hands Off Uhuru, supported Hands Off Africa in some very great statements they made. We have people like Belinda Parker Brown from Louisiana United, Colin Perot, who is part of the National Lawyers Guild, and Julie Cheval-Carr, who is with Project South, and other people who are lay people who are not lawyers. Some of them are paralegals, or people just interested in this case, interested in fighting for justice. They become part of this committee. So you can become part of this committee. You don't need to be a lawyer. You don't need to be a paraprofessional. We're going to teach everybody what they need to know to carry out this work. And we really call on people to join, excuse me, handsoffuhuru.org/volunteer. That's where you go to join. And you can determine whether you want to work in the Hands Off Uhuru Legal Defense Support Committee or any of the other committees. Of course, I'm partial to the Hands Off Uhuru Legal Defense Support Committee because I'm the chair, but all of the committees are great, doing great work. So make sure during the course of this meeting, this is a great dynamic meeting. During the course of this meeting, don't just be a spectator. Come on to the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Committee. Go to handsoffuhuru.org/volunteer. And the second thing I want to ask you to do is go to Hands Off Uhuru and donate. That was a great presentation given by Jesse and Amanda. And I just feel really emboldened to say, hey, you got to do this. Take your responsibility to defend the African nation so we can beat these charges, so we can force them to drop these charges before there's a trial. Free the Uhuru 3, drop the charges against the Uhuru 3. We got a lot of money that we got to raise, different kinds of litigation that's going to be carried out. And we'll be talking about that litigation as we go further into the case. Of course, I can't talk about specific strategy, but be assured this is going to be a really aggressive defense, and we're going to be doing everything we can until we get to victory. So we're going to have a lot of expenses. Amanda mentioned some of those: legal experts, experts in other fields, political experts, and other things that we might need, like transcripts for the trial. So we really want to encourage people. If you haven't joined, go to handsoffuhuru.org/volunteer, sign up for one of the committees, and become part of this great work. Again, I want to thank Chair Mwezi for the opportunity to talk about the Legal Defense Support Committee. I think it's a great team, and I really want to appreciate her give us the opportunity to talk about it. Uhuru.
Uhuru, thank you, Comrade Chimurenga, Chair of the Legal Defense Support Committee for the Hands Off Uhuru Counteroffensive. Really want to salute you for that presentation, and so glad we will begin to see more of you as we know it. So we're glad that you came on today. And I do want to announce that we have a new volunteer that signed up today for the Legal Defense Support Committee. We want
right
to
on,
Kevin.
Uhuru.
Yeah. So Uhuru, Kevin, I saw that slip in during the presentation, and I just had to acknowledge that. So
right on, right on.
Us. Yes, right on. Because as we said, we need, donate our skills, donate whatever we can. So thank you, and great presentation. And you will all be seeing our lawyers and get a chance to meet, to see them at the next event that we have to mark the 1 year of the attack. So we want to say that we will see more about the legal defense overall. Thank you, Comrade Chimurenga. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Uhuru. All right, comrades. So we are coming to a close now. I'm going to give a final count of how much we raised on today. And we're going to close this out with some announcements. And I just want to say that, comrades, we're going to win. We're going to do this. And if you are not excited about this moment in history, then you got to keep coming back, because it doesn't take long for you to catch the wave of freedom. So, stay with us. Go to handsoffuhuru.org. We have our announcements. We're going to go right through them right now so you can stay in touch with the Hands Off Uhuru campaign. So again, you can find us at handsoffuhuru.org. Next slide, please. Handsoffuhuru.org. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on TikTok as well. And please go to the website, go to handsoffuhuru.org on the next slide, please. And if you scroll down, you will see a place where you can sign up for the emergency response pledge. You can also sign up to receive emails and mailer lights as well. So please sign up for those. Please notice that, mark your calendars that every Thursday, there is a webinar from the Africa region of the Hands Off Uhuru Committee, every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Africa time and 1 p.m. Eastern time. You can watch this by going to facebook.com/APSP Africa region. And just as you heard from our legal defense team, you will be hearing more from our forces around the world, including our comrades in Africa who are leading the brunt of this struggle. So I really want to salute Comrades Director Tafari, Morlai, and Visto as well. On Friday, July 21st, is the Hands Off Uhuru fundraising committee, who you just heard from, is showing a virtual film screening of American Justice on Trial, which is portraying the Black Panther leader, Huey P. Newton, in 1969 in these court hearings. So please go to tinyurl.com/Uhuru film to buy your tickets, or you can go straight to handsoffuhuru.org/events to get more information about how to register for this event and how to pay for your ticket. So thank you, comrades. Please sign up. This is going to be very exciting. Hold a watch party. Make sure everybody gets their ticket and make that happen. On Saturday, July 29th, join the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa counteroffensive to talk about 1 year later, pushing back the FBI attacks on the Uhuru movement. We want you to join us for an overview of the past year as we have been fighting for our lives, and the solidarity statements from our supporters, and making the demand to drop the charges on the Uhuru 3, some announcements about the coalition building, and mobilizing for the 15th annual March on the White House, sponsored by the Black It's Back Coalition. And this will be on November 4th. And you can do that by signing up for this meeting by going to handsoffuhuru.org/events and register for the August 19th and 20th 14th Annual National Conference of the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace and Coalition and Reparations. This is a bad coalition, y'all. So you have to go to blackisbackcoalition.org. You have to register for this conference. You have to see what this coalition has been building and how powerful this mobilization is going to be. And I want to salute all of the members of the Black is Back Coalition, the general membership and the steering committee. They are bad and you have to be there. So please register by going to their website. And if there's absolutely no way that you cannot make it to Washington, as we said, let your money march for you. Continue to donate to this campaign. We want to appreciate everybody for being here. Yes, and Lisa Davis says, that's right, we bad, because Black is back. So Uhuru, comrade. So yes, let your money march for you. Continue to donate, comrades. We want to appreciate you. And please make note that I think this is out in the world, almost there, the chairman's book, Reparations Now, the verdict is in. This couldn't be better timing that we are putting forth the truth that the chairman has been saying for over 51 years. And in 1982, the World Tribunal on Reparations held for African peoples. This is the 40th year anniversary, and this includes a foreword from Luwezi Kinshasa and testimonies, as well as an epilogue by Chairman Omali Yeshitela. So go to the burningspirit.store to get your copy of Reparations Now. If you haven't gotten your copy, go ahead and order that right away. And the Uhuru Tours and Speakers Bureau, we are touring the chairman. We want to get this word everywhere out around the world. So please email info@uhurutours.com if you are interested in making a booking an appointment or booking a speaking engagement with the chairman. The calendar is filling up very quick, but if you're looking towards 2024, go ahead and just put out those dates because we want to get the chairman out in the world and the other speakers of the movement. So Uhuru comrades, I want to thank everybody. And before we go, I want to say that we have raised a total of evenly, I love this, $1,000. We met our goal and we have a pledge to do $21. So that'll be $1,021 raised on today. So salute to everybody who made that happen. Want to salute our fundraising team, all of our donors, and to say, one other way that you can donate and that we will share more information is to get a t-shirt, a Hands Off Uhuru t-shirt. And Chairman quoted today about kicking the ass of the ruling class, or maybe that was Jesse, and we're going to put that on a t-shirt. So just wait, there's going to be some other ways that we can continue to take this campaign around the world. So I want to appreciate everybody. I want to say hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa, and Black power to the African nation, all power to the people, and Uhuru comrades. Thank you.